What are you doing, chef?
We are gonna change the menu next week, but I don't know what we are gonna do. I am taking his recipes, Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. Don't tell anyone, that's so secret, man. And new episode is coming today. I am planning to get it and then put it in our menu. But don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking Corner with me, Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. Today for you, I'm going to be showing you how to make a classic New York apple cake. Now, in terms of ingredients, you're going to need the following. You're going to need some cinnamon. You're going to need some vanilla extract. You're going to need some baking soda. You're going to need some flour. You're going to need some vegetable oil. You're going to need 4 Honeycrisp apples. You're gonna need 3 eggs. And you're gonna need some sugar. Now, in terms of hardware, you're gonna need the following. You're of course gonna need a pan for your cake. I'm using a bundt pan. You're also gonna need 2 large mixing bowls. Any colors you want, I just like purple and green. You're going to need some cooking spray or some grease and flour for your cake pan. You're going to need an electric mixer or a whisk and a very strong wrist. Then you're going to need something to peel and slice the apple. I have a vegetable peeler and a sharp knife. You're also going to need some measuring spoons and to cut up your apple, a cutting board. Moving right along, folks, step number 1 is going to be wash your hands. Feel free to sing along at home if you know the lyrics of this one, but it goes a little something like this. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. Moving on, step number 2 is going to be peel, core, and cut your apples. Now, the first part of step number 2 is going to be peel your apples. So, get yourself a little veggie peeler and remove all the skin. Once you've got your apple peeled, you can move on to coring it. Now, to core your apple, you just want to remove the core. The easiest way to do this would be to cut the sides off of the apple, like so. Once you've cored your apple, you're going to go ahead and cut it into small, bite-sized pieces, like I'm going to show you right now. Once you've peeled, cored, and cut up your first apple, repeat the process for your other 3 apples. When all is said and done, you should have about 2 cups of peeled, cored, and chopped up apples. Now, depending on the size of apples you use, you may only need 2 or 3 to get the 2 cups that you desire. Moving right along to step number 3. And step number 3 is going to be prep your pan and preheat your oven. Now, you can set your oven to preheat to 350 degrees, and while it's preheating, you can take your cooking spray or your grease and flour and lubricate your pan. Once you finish step number 3, you can move right along to step number 4. And step number 4 is going to be create your wet mixture. What you're going to need to do to create your wet mixture is combine in your bowl a cup and a half of vegetable oil and a cup and a half of sugar, and then beat them together. Once you've beaten together your oil and your sugar, you're going to add your 3 eggs. So, there's a half cup. There's another half cup. And 3 makes a cup and a half. And we've got our pre-measured out cup and a half of vegetable oil. And now we're going to beat them together. So go ahead, take your beaters, and just beat your sugar and oil together. Once your oil and sugar are beaten together, you can go ahead and start adding your 3 eggs. So go ahead, take your egg, crack it into the bowl, get rid of the shell, and once you've added all your eggs, you can beat it together. Keep beating until your mixture is nice and creamy. Once you've completed your wet mixture, you can set that aside and move on to step number 5. And step number 5 is going to be make your dry mixture. Now, when combining your dry ingredients, you have 2 options. You can either add all your ingredients to a bowl and mix it together vigorously with a whisk, or you can sift your ingredients together into the bowl. That'll get you a much more even mix of the ingredients. I recommend sifting, but I understand that not everybody has a fine strainer in the house. So, we need 3 cups of flour, 1, 2, 3, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and a half teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, if you're not sifting your ingredients, just take a whisk and beat them together until you think it's evenly distributed. But if you are sifting your ingredients together, you just need to take some of your mixture and add it into your strainer. Once it's in your strainer, you can just hit it on your hand until it all goes through, like so. Now, looking side by side, we have our whisked mixture and our sifted mixture. Now, you might not be able to tell on camera, but the one in the blue bowl is a lot finer than the one in the green bowl. That being said, it's hard to tell. They're not that different, so you can do either one when making your cake. Once you have both your dry and your wet mixture, you're ready for step number 6. And step number 6 is going to be combine your mixtures. Now, you're going to want to take your dry mixture and you're going to beat it into your wet mixture. Now, what you're thinking up a mighty bit, so you may want to use a large wooden spoon if your beaters or your whisk isn't cutting it. So, just a little bit at a time, start beating in your dry ingredients. Now might be a good time to switch to a wooden spoon. Once your batters are beaten together, your mixture should look a little something like this. Should be a very thick batter. Now, once you've got your batter, you're ready to move on to step number 7. Moving on to step number 7. And step number 7 is going to be add your apples and your vanilla. So, you're just going to need to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and your 2 cups of chopped apples to your batter and then mix it together. So, go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And once your vanilla's in there, you can go ahead and add your 2 cups of chopped apples. Once you've got your batter complete, you're ready for step number 8. And step number 8 is going to be bake your cake. So grab your greasy pan and add all of your batter into the pan. Make sure to spread it out nice and evenly in the pan. You don't want an uneven bake. I trust you to use only the good footage there. Once your batter is in your pan, you can stick it in the oven and bake it for an hour and 15 minutes minimum. Now, you'll know your cake is done when you stick a knife in and you pull it out and the knife is mostly clean. I'll show you what I mean by that when our cake is done. So it's been about an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to open our oven and check our cake. So go ahead, open her up. Take your knife and stick it into your cake. And the knife should come out clean-ish. So you might be able to see here, there are just a couple little streaks on the knife. That's what you want to see. So that means our cake is done. So you can go ahead and take it out of the oven. Put it on the counter. And let it cool for a few minutes before we do anything else with it. Once your cake is out of the oven, just take a little knife and run it along the edge of the pan to make sure the cake isn't sticking, like so. I think it's going to come out in one piece. Now it's time for the final step, which is going to be plating. So, you're going to want to get a plate that's around the same size and shape as your pan. I've got this circular plate and it nuzzles nicely right on top of the pan like that. So what we're going to do is grab a little dish towel here and we're going to flip the cake over directly onto the plate. So go ahead, grab it, flip it, put down, and just like that, you have a beautiful apple cake. Once you've got your cake out of the pan and onto the plate, you can go ahead and hit it with a fine coating of powdered sugar. And just like that, you're ready to serve. Now that our cake is looking beautiful, it's time for a little taste test. So go ahead and get yourself a knife and we're going to cut ourselves a slice. Now, you can choose to serve your apple cake with ice cream, with whipped cream, or straight up. I'm going to have mine straight up. Go ahead, grab a fork, go in for a little taste test. Just kidding! That was delicious! That concludes this week's video of Cooking Corner with me, Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. CrimiVaroli. I hope you enjoyed the apple cake. I certainly know I did. If you like content like this, subscribe to my channel. I'm putting out new content all the time. If you like this video, leave a like below so I know I did a good job. If there's something you want to see on the channel, leave it in the comments and I'll try to make it for you. Have a great day and bye-bye now.